It's midday. Welcome to Citi Prime News on 97.3 FM. My name is Larte. This afternoon, I'm here with
Safo.
The bulletin is live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. And coming up in this edition, police arrest some persons in connection with the latest shooting incident at Wanchiki in the Tripoli district of the Northeast region that left some residents critically injured. In this package, also, former Finance Minister Dr. Kwabena Duffuor picks nomination forms to run for NDC flag bearer, bringing the total number of aspirants who have begun the presidential nomination process of the party to 4. Still on Citi Prime News, NPP presidential hopeful Kwabena Japan confident of being selected as flag bearer of the party ahead of his main contenders due to his stellar track record.
Baumia is number 2, virtue of the fact that he is vice president, politically. Alan Shamating has been number 2 to Nanado for the last 3 elections. So electorally, he's also number 2. So I think they are there by default. Because I don't know what they should tell the Ghanaian people what they stand for. I've gone around.
And later, users of the law complex in Accra have no choice but to ascend the many flights of stairs in order to access the judicial services at the facility due to faulty elevators which remain unfixed for months. Details of these and more here on Citi Prime News, which is live across the country on our partner stations, Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi and Beach 105.5 FM, also in Takoradi in the Western region. Bono region, this is Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani, Ashanti region, Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. If you are listening to us in the Volta region, welcome to Global 105.1 FM in Ho and Adano 107.7 FM in Adaklowaya. In the Northern region, this is Diamond 93.7 FM in Tamale, Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura in the Upper West region, Source 101 FM in Boku in the Upper East region, and SCAP 101.3 FM in Nampanduri in the Northeast region. All around the world, we are live on citynewsroom.com, Citi 97.3 FM on Facebook, and CityTube on YouTube.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Many thanks for choosing us. Now, tension is mounting in the Tripoli district of the Northeast region after gunshots were fired during the enskinment of a chief in the area. A report indicates that residents of Nyangbande traveled to Wanchiki for the installment of a chief. Some persons on motorbikes, however, fired gunshots into the crowd at the palace of the Wanchiki chief. Now, a resident has been speaking to Citi News on condition of anonymity.
It happened between close to 7. A community under Wanchiki called Nyangwande came for their enskinment in Wanchiki Chief Palace, Chief Abubakar. The men ride motorbikes and the ladies were in Aboboya coming. Immediately the Aboboya reached at the palace, we heard a gunshot directly at the palace. From the sound was just from a nearby, an opposite house to the palace. So the process was going on in the chief palace, right? Those outside were also standing, and all of a sudden the shooting started coming. Though that by then the securities were around, watching or observing the process. So the people did the enskinment and left to their community. So the shooting started or continuously.
So that's a resident of Wanchiki in the Tripoli district of the Northeast region speaking to Citi News on condition of anonymity. At least what we do know now is that police in the community have arrested some persons in connection with that particular shooting incident. Some residents have also been critically injured as a result of the shooting incident which happened on Thursday morning. So that's the latest development from Wanchiki in the Northeast region, where we are bringing you this particular story. We've heard from a resident in the community who has been speaking to City News on condition of anonymity. They have also been engaging the chief of the community, Alhaji Abubakar Awonfo. He tells City News that police have actually arrested some persons in connection with the crime.
We are gathered for one time seeing him. They just fired a gun for us. Some polytanto of my house, just closer to my room, they destroyed the polytanto all. So we are silent firing each other. Truly, we were firing each other.
Were there any persons who sustained injuries?
Yes.
How many?
Those who are injured or those who died?
Both.
The one that we saw our face about 3 or 4. The security carried some to Chirepone. Some are still lying down here. So I didn't confirm whether it's true or not. But when people here, one really lying down there.
Are there security officers in the area?
No, security is no more here. They came, but they all left to Chirepone.
Did they arrest anyone?
They are arresting about 4 people, but they didn't arrest them with the arm. They are business guys, they are selling food, they sit in their shop when the security arresting them.
That's Alhaji Abubakar Awonfo. He is chief of Wenchiki in the Northeast region.
Now, chiefs and elders of the Awin traditional area in the Western North region are calling on government to take immediate action on the assassination attempts of the Awin paramount chief, Beiman Tano Kwao Bembuin III. They noted that even though they have reported to the police countless number of plots and schemes to harm the paramount chief, no requisite action has been taken. They stated this in a press conference at Enchi. Tofohene of the Awin traditional area, Nana Penyi II, in his address to the media, questioned the inaction of the police and demanded a thorough investigation into the matter.
The assassination attempt that has been going on in the palace since 2019. Not less than 10 assassination attempts have taken place, but we haven't seen any attention being given to it. The case gets to the police station, people are arrested, and next time we don't hear anything, especially the perpetrators.
Tofohene of the Awin traditional area, Nana Penyi II.
Now, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, says the depreciation of the Ghana cedi is a major cause of the shortage of some vaccines in the country. Dr. Kumar-Boaji says the recent fall of the cedi is making it difficult for the health service to procure the childhood vaccines under the expanded immunization program on time. Reports have been rife on shortages of vaccines across the country. Some mothers complained to City News about the unavailability of measles vaccines when they visited some health facilities. Speaking to City News, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, however, assured that the country will receive the vaccines in 2 weeks.
There are 3 key traditional vaccines that we have run out towards the end of the year. This is the OPV, that's the polio virus vaccine. We have the BCG, and then the measles rubella vaccine. We were supposed to procure in the fourth quarter of the year for 2023. But due to the currency fluctuation, the amount of funds that was available in cities could not meet up. So orders are being made now, and we're expecting that within the next 2 weeks, we'll be able to catch up. We know that we have shortages across the country in all those areas, but that's not the situation. So we are working with the UNICEF and our partners to ensure that within the next 2 weeks, we are able to bring in these 3 vaccines. All other vaccines are available.
That was the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji.
A flag bearer hopeful of the new patriotic party, Kwabena Japan, has debunked assertions that the party only makes use of members from the northern part of Ghana to attract votes without giving them a chance at the presidency. This notion seems to form the basis of an elite consensus pushing for Vice President Dr. Bawumia to be favored over his contenders for the presidency. But in an interview with host of the City Breakfast show, Bernard Avle, Dr. Kwabena Ejapong argues that the party broke its rules to make Dr. Bawumia a running mate to Nana Akufo-Addo, hence the vice president should not be given preferential treatment. He also condemned the mobilization of votes along tribal lines.
The party has a constitution. We have rules and regulations. You can't even get on the ticket if you have not demonstrated a membership of 5 years. The party took a decision, Ninto was the general secretary, to waive that, create a card for him, and straight on that day, you become number 2. It's never happened anywhere because of the respect that we have for the candidate Akufo-Addo. I was part of the National Council meeting that took that decision. You understand? So if you've been done such a big favor, a big waiver, the biggest waiver that's ever seen in this our party, and you've served as vice president, number 2 in the country, and you consider that using and dumping, I think that is, I think...
I'm not sure it's him who will say this,
no,
but...
whoever says that, they should stop that kind of talk. I don't want to hear that.
But he delivered, he did not, because he was also the major arrowhead for the message of the party, particularly in 2016, the lectures on the economy, the clarity with which it described the failures of the government. You cannot talk about.
I'm not going to discuss.
You cannot talk about the. Sorry, I'm not making this about. I'm just giving an example. You cannot talk about the privilege of being vice president without talking about the work that was done by the vice presidential candidate as well. So it's almost like he earned it.
But that's what you're supposed to do as vice president. You are part of the ticket. It's your work, it's your duty and your responsibility. It's not a bonus. There's nothing extra. I mean, those of us who were, even me on suspension at the time, I mobilized resources, supported close to 100 constituencies around the country. That is the kind of dedication I have for this tradition. So I think it comes with the work. And nobody is denying him his chance to contest. Nobody has said that. Just that we in our MPP, we have a way of doing things. He's just going to go around and talk to the party people and hope that he wins the ballot. But to try and force a coronation on us, that won't happen. There would be no coronation in this MPP.
But what about about the perception from Ghanaians if he loses?
What perception?
That for some reason, again, this is not.
It's all part of the NDC propaganda. I've heard former President Mahama say it, that they're going to use his brother, the Northerner, and dump him. And I think it was a very unfortunate statement coming from someone who's been president. And as I said, we should not organize around tribe in this country. It's despicable, and I want to speak against it.
So even if people believe that?
Well, I think the majority does not believe that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Kwabena Ejapong also believes the delegates will choose him over his contenders despite what he describes as the unfair advantage his main contenders enjoy.
Aliu Mahama served this party right from the get-go. From a Dubois in his time, because I quite remember as young people, he would send us to him. You understand? So it is for anybody who is interested in aspiring to this office to do what is expected of him. Hit the debt. I mean, he's fortunate. I mean, he's going to go around and he has a convoy. He doesn't have to buy his own fuel. I have to do that.
He can't put up a billboard, but you can. For now, he can't, because it's almost like he's cap tied.
No, he's not cap tied. He's had an unfair advantage. I've said
can you explain that?
I would say the two that the media is trying to present as the only candidates. I mean, the media is virtually being cultured to present this as a two-horse race. It's very far from that. You understand? Bawumia is number 2, virtue of the fact that he is vice president, politically. Alan Shemating has been number 2 to Nanado for the last 3 elections. So electorally, he's also number 2.
So the media is putting the 2 number 2 together.
Yeah, so I think they are there by default, because I don't know what... They should tell the Ghanaian people what they stand for. I've gone around expressing my views on the new dawn, and I'm explaining to them what I stand for, what I'll bring to the table, like imposing order and discipline in our country, ensuring that there's a drastic penalty regime for those who tinker with our national treasury, and having the political will, being decisive, having the vitality to drive the change that I think Ghanaians deserve and the country where we should be heading towards. That has been my platform. And maybe you should call them and ask them these difficult questions too. And I encourage all my other contestants to submit themselves, to be humble enough, so that their career, their record in government and everything will be examined. That is what leaders are for. That's what leadership is about. To be able to be open about your life and to be asked difficult questions.
But there are polls that are also showing this. It's not just the media. I've read a couple of polls that have shown Dr. Bawumia and Alan as the front runners. A couple have mentioned Kennedy Japan as well.
I'm saying that
so it's not just a media creation.
I'm saying that it is. I don't know where these polls are coming from, but what is important is I've been around politics from a Dubois.
But have you done your own polls?
Look.
Or do you? Because I do know you.
I know the heartbeat of Ghanaians. I know the heartbeat of our party. I've been around long enough. Okay, so I'm not going to put so much credibility on any poll. When I've finished going around the country, my first round, I've now done about 5 regions. Then after that, there is a poll. Then I can give a little credence to it because I haven't been around. I've been under the table for 8 years. So even the fact that my name is being mentioned now shows that I've made a lot of progress.
The former press secretary under President Kufuor says he would have no more than 19 ministers with 1 deputy each should he become president.
I think first and foremost, we've been running a deficit budget for as long as we can think about. And I am a firm believer in the fact that you should never spend what you haven't earned. You should live within your means. As they say, cut your coat according to the size of cloth that you have. You know, budget after budget, government after government tends to do things that is beyond us. We have to be frank and honest and deal with that, which means revenue is difficult to estimate, but at least expenditure you can control. And how best to start it? By cutting down on yourself. I think the cost of running Ghana government is too big. And I've said this a long time ago. I think it's become a bit more fashionable now for other people to say it. But as far back as 2015, when I was General Secretary, I had an interview on hot issues on TV3, a sister station, and I said that the framers of the Constitution did not put in the 19 limit for cabinet ministers for nothing. They were giving us an idea of the size of government. And President Kwabena Ejapon would not exceed 19. I do think that all heads of ministries should be cabinet ministers. And that's why if you look at the Constitution, it talks about the president and his cabinet, because the cabinet is the advisory body that works with the president.
So this idea of having more ministers at 19 and then limiting 19 to cabinet,
I don't agree with that. And I've said so. A lot of the ministries have to be consolidated, you know, and to reduce the numbers. And some of them, I think, should not exist in the first place. Parliamentary affairs, public sector reform, even chieftaincy used to be a secretariat of the presidency and all that. So I think youth and sports, the natural home is education, because that's where you do a lot of sports and that's where the youth is. You know, transport should have aviation and what have you, railways.
All within that.
All within transport. I think you can isolate only roads and highways because of its central role in a developing country.
You did your service at highways.
That's right. So I have a little bias there. You know, aquaculture and fisheries should be under agriculture. It should be a department.
So you can have 19. So your first major issue is government lives within its means. Cut your coat according to your size.
And then there should be 1 deputy. So
no 2 deputies.
No 2 deputies. So if you have that, the president has 1 vice president. So 38 ministers. And if you add the 16 regional ministers, then you have 54. And I think that's it. That you can work with that.
Engineer Kwabena Ejapon is an NPP flag bearer hopeful.
Well, away from the governing New Patriotic Party, let's turn our attention now to the opposition National Democratic Congress, because former Finance Minister Dr. Kwabena Dufour has picked nomination forms to contest for the flag bearership of the party. Well, we do know that the party has officially opened its doors for flag bearer aspirants ahead of the 2024 election. So far, 4 persons, including former President John Dramani Mahama, have picked up their forms to contest at flag bearer of the NDC. My colleague Akosua Ochre was earlier at the party headquarters today, and she joins me in studio for more on this particular one. Well, Akosua, when you visited the party headquarters, was the former finance minister there himself? Was he there himself to pick the nomination forms, or he had that done on his behalf?
Thank you, Nee. So the former Finance Minister, Dr. Kwabena Dufo, was not in the premises or on the premises of the National Democratic Congress headquarters to pick up the forms. It was done on his behalf by the Ashanti Regional Women's Organizer and also the party members of Ejisu in the Ashanti region. We know that this particular finance minister, former finance minister, hails from the Ashanti region. And so he had this entourage come on his behalf to pick up the nomination forms.
So he was the only one at the party headquarters today to pick the nomination forms. Yesterday, 3 people were at the party headquarters to pick their forms. At least we know of John Dramani Mahama and then 2 other persons. Tell us more.
Yes, today, actually, we had indications that Kojo Bonsu, that's the former Kumasi mayor, was going to pick up his forms today, but we were told by the election committee that he did that yesterday, and someone did that on his behalf. And so today, just Dr. Kwabena Dufo was at the headquarters to pick up his nomination forms. Like I said, he had people coming in there to do that on his behalf. And if I should add, before the nomination form was picked up, the election committee pleaded on behalf of the NDC to Dr. Kwabena Dufo that when he comes into power, he should ensure that he channels all his financial knowledge and also all the expertise in economics to channel it into the current NDC government. That is when they come into power, so that they can take the country out of the mess that they say that the NPP has created. And so that was the response from the National Democratic Congress, and also the response from the entourage of the former finance minister also gave indications that they will not back down on their efforts to ensure that they reclaim power for the NDC, and they would make sure that Dr. Kwabena Dufo files the nomination and contest as flag bearer for the NDC come 2024.
Under his leadership as finance minister, Ghana recorded his best economic performance ever. Indeed, one that the NDC as a party is proud of. Secondly, his enterprise of business is one that is evident for all of us. Yes! This election is not going to be business as usual. And indeed, it cannot be. But most importantly, they will be empowered and committed to be able to fully participate in our democratic process as a party and as a people. Lastly, it's evident that Dr. Kwabena Dufo is one that's empowering the grassroots. And he promises to do that and even more as leader and as a country. Under Dr. Kwabena Dufo, we shall experience true leadership, one we can trust, and I can promise you, Ghana and NDC never will Papa. I, together with all Ghanaians, we have been overpowered by the stench of corruption that has enveloped this nation on the Kufa. And we know he's the competent NDC man who can take us out of it, provided he gets the votes of the delegates.
So you heard Kakra Esamoah. He is the chairman of the NDC election committee. Earlier was the person who took the forms on behalf of Dr. Kwabena Dufo. Akosua Ocho is still in studio. So Akosua, is the party expecting any more persons to pick nomination forms?
Not today. Well, we know that the forms will not be available anymore from March 5. And so today we are done with Dr. Kwabena Dufo. From now to March 5, we'll be expecting, let's see if other people would throng the national headquarters to pick up their forms.
All right, thank you. That's Akosua Ocho, City News' correspondent at the NDC headquarters. You were there earlier today. You've joined us in studio to give us more as far as Dr. Kwabena Dufo's nomination is concerned for the NDC flag bearership race.
Still on the NDC, a private businessman, Ernest Kweku Kobia, has picked nomination forms to contest in the presidential race of the National Democratic Congress. Ernest Kweku Kobia is a member of the NDC in the Wejagbawe constituency of the Greater Accra region. Speaking to the media after picking his nomination form, Ernest Kweku Kobia said the opposition party needs the youth like him to galvanize Ghanaians to vote the NDC into power.
I don't have a comment with that, but I'm trying to tell you that you just wait and see. The little man bring changes to the nation, and then everyone will be safe forever.
Some say this is just an attempt for you to establish your presence. How true is that? So some say this is an attempt for you to establish your presence in the NDC for future maybe positions or other,
No, I'm here to stand and build a new Ghana. I'm not here for future. I'm here for now. I'm here for today. That is what we need to do.
That was a businessman, Ernest Kweku Kobia, who is aspiring to contest the presidential race of the National Democratic Congress.
You are still listening to the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. Also live across the country on our partner stations around the world on citynewsroom.com. My name is Larte here with Safo. Still to come, users of the law complex in Accra have no choice but to ascend the many flights of stairs in order to access the judicial services at the facility due to faulty elevators which remain unfixed for months.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, patrons of the law complex here in Accra, including the physically challenged, were forced to climb the flight of stairs in the building to access justice due to the malfunctioning of all the 4 elevators. The complex, which was inaugurated in 2015, has 43 courtrooms on 5 floors. For months, the elevators and some air conditioners in the building have been out of order. Here are some clients who were affected by the situation.
I'm a paralegal. I come to the court to do filing from my office, and then the lift is not working, so we'll have to use the staircase, which is very stressful and all that. But then we are hoping to get fixed early so that we'll not go through that stress anymore. So that's it.
I can see it's even more stressful for you. I mean, you're heavily pregnant. I can see that.
Yeah, very, very stressful. Sometimes I would have to sit at a particular floor, wait a little before I continue to. And I mostly go to the 5th floor. That is my challenge, so that is it.
We're told some of the air conditioners aren't working also.
Okay, for some of the courts, not every court.
So what about those who are disabled? And in fact, my case is on the 5th floor. And been going by this 5 steps away, it's not a joke at all. I even told my lawyer that they should try and compare the officers to do something about it, because in fact it was not easy. It was a very Herculean task.
I'm sure about for the past 6 months, the elevators have not worked.
Yeah. I can see that you're holding a walking aid. Yes. How the fact that the elevator hasn't been working, how is that affecting your work?
I'm compelled to cope with the situation. I don't like it, but there's very little I can do. This is a new building. This structure is a giant structure that was constructed not long ago. And we don't expect that the elevator is not one, about 4. They are all broken down and are not repaired up to now. We don't really understand.
Those were some people who frequent the law complex building sharing their frustrations with Citi News' Charles Osukumi.
Some smaller oil marketing companies in the country fear closure due to the gold for oil policy requirements. During an event yesterday, the CEO of the National Petroleum Authority, Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, announced the criteria for consideration under the gold for oil policy, which requires the top 25 OMCs that distributed petrol and diesel in 2022 with not less than 45 retail outlets across the country. However, these smaller OMCs are worried that they may be forced out of business due to these requirements. Duncan Amwa, Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, expressed his fears in an interview with Citi Business News, stating that the government's intervention through the policy may destabilize the industry.
We have said that the gold for oil experiment is simply going to lead to market disruption. And it's been confirmed by the NPA when they say that stations or OMCs that have 45 stations are the ones going to be selected to get the product. Once this is going to happen or it's happening, then it becomes not a national program any longer, but something for selected few to benefit from. Again, you also have registered and licensed each and every one of these OMCs that you have taken license renewal fees, you have taken business operating fees and all of that from, with the promise as a government to create an enabling environment for all. Now, we say that we have taken Bank of Ghana money to pre-finance products to bring to the market through BOST to sell. Yet, the smaller OMCs who don't have the benefit of 45 retail outlets cannot be part of that, table that shares the products for everybody to get some to buy. So clearly, we are creating a very bad business environment. We would simply kill these smaller OMCs who predominantly are indigenous Ghanaian businesses struggling to survive. And then at the end of the day, when there are losses, we will come back to the same indigenous Ghanaian people and businesses to say that, look, there are losses, go and pay for it.
You heard the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amor.
Away from that, and trade disputes have persisted between members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association and their Nigerian counterparts in the retail space over the years. The development has often led to the closure of shops belonging to some Nigerian traders who have constantly been accused of violating Ghana's trade laws. Although there have been some interventions to address the issue, Nigerian traders in Ghana are expecting the winner of Saturday's elections in their home country to collaborate more with the Ghana government to find a lasting solution. Chief Kizito Biora is the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Traders Association, Ghana.
We are hoping and believing that by special grace of God, this coming Saturday being by 2 days' time, we have an election in Nigeria, presidential and national assembly election in Nigeria. Our main expectation is, first of all, is to have free and fair election. That is the most important thing. There is a lot of crisis in Nigeria now, especially in our own side. I'm from eastern part of Nigeria. So some people are agitating because of this Biafra thing, that there will be no election in any eastern part of Nigeria. But we are praying, hoping that by special grace of God, that things will go smoothly. We have suffered a lot here in Ghana, honestly speaking. We have gone through a lot, at least at the hand of Ghana Union of Traders Association in terms of competition. But I know that by God's grace, we are solving the problems small now. But we are looking up for a president, a government who will come in and have a very big interest now, getting to even 2 decades now, as I'm talking about. They come in here in Ghana to do their business. If you can't meet up with that criteria, you better look for elsewhere.
Chief Kizito Biora is the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Traders Association, Ghana. Nigeria has been plagued with an economic crisis coupled with soaring inflation and insecurity. Some Nigerians living in Ghana spoke to Citi News about their expectations in the upcoming polls and insist the winner of the election must find a solution to the country's insecurity situation.
Well, so far so good. Life in Ghana is good, peaceful. Yeah, so there hasn't been any problem.
Your country is voting on Saturday. What are your expectations?
Oh, my expectation on Saturday is the right person to win the election. For me, I will support P2B to win the election, yes. Yeah, I'm a supporter of P2B. I'm a full support, yeah, for P2B to win the election. Yeah.
Why?
Oh, because I just have the belief. I see him as a good person, someone that can change Nigeria. So, yeah, someone that can change Nigeria. I mean, Nigeria now is passing that they are going through a lot, the citizens there. So we need someone that can just stand up and, address the nation very well, make a change.
Oh, life in Ghana is so good, so nice. And especially, it's a peaceful country, and everyone would love to be in Ghana. So I love life here in Ghana.
Nigeria is voting on Saturday. Are you going to vote?
I can't vote because I'm in Ghana, so I wish to vote because in Nigeria it has been like sometimes the election is not free and fair election. So we expect free and fair election this time around because we need the right person to rule the country.
Those were some Nigerians living in Ghana speaking about the state of insecurity in their country ahead of the general elections.
The Minister for the Interior, Ambrose Derry, says the Ghana Police Service has included motorbike riding and swimming to its training programs. The minister says modern policing requires officers to possess some set of skills needed to fight crime. Speaking at an event in Accra, Ambrose Derry said the police service will introduce new training methods to help it meet world standards.
I'm also happy to say that the police of today, those with have been trained recently, have been trained specially. Each of them, rider, swimmer. I'm not sure I could have qualified on the swimming to be a policeman now. And the anti-terrorism school act has made us to train total police persons. On behalf of the police and indeed all the agencies of the Ministry of the Interior, and moving the paradigm shift of moving security from the back burner to the front burner to make sure that it's a conducive environment.
You heard the Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry.
This is the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. Still to come, we get to hear from the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat on its plans of airlifting money to pay outstanding stipends to Ghanaian students in Cuba.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
More. It's something we're promised a lot these days. But what does more actually look like? Well, in Emirates Economy, it's endless entertainment on the biggest screens in the sky plus live sport. That's more. Gourmet cuisine that gives you a taste of your destination, served with free-flowing drinks. That's more. Special meals and toys for kids to keep your little explorers happy. That's more. So whichever way you look at it, more really does mean more in Emirates Economy. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
It's a country that's full of historical antecedents and rich cultural heritage. What is a rich cultural heritage without soul food? And what is soul food without a touch of ethnicity? And what is ethnicity if it's not from your village? This season of all things Ghanaian is upon us, and we are here to celebrate an aspect of our Ghanaianness with the Back to Your Village Food Bazaar, happening live from the 25th to the 26th of March 2023 at the forecourt of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. Come, let's treat ourselves to delectable, authentic Ghanaian cuisine from the northern, the middle, and the southern zones of the country that reflect our true cultural diversity. While at it, we'll be jamming to genuine Ghanaian music amidst games, competitions, storytelling, and so much more. Interested vendors of indigenous foods are invited to register. Don't let this be another missed opportunity. Call 0205-973-973 to book a stand and be part of the Back to Your Village Food Bazaar 2023. And the country make Hoto. So come, let's enjoy some good food, resounding music, heartfelt camaraderie, and remind ourselves why Ghana is still home at the Back to Your Village Food Bazaar on the 25th and the 26th of March 2023 at the forecourt of the AMA from 8 a.m. each day. The Back to Your Village Food Bazaar is powered by Citi TV with support from Citi FM and is sponsored by Volta Ghana Limited and Malta Guinness.
Vodafone Business introduces too much business packages for businesses and SMEs. Yes, it be too much value. It be too much flexibility. It be too much everything so on Vodafone too much business. And the best part is you can now take your business up another level. Wow. Choose the voice, data, and SMS package that suits your business size and ambitions with Vodafone 2 Mod Business. That means more data for your business with the ability to roll over unused data. More SMS, more minutes for Vodafone to Vodafone calls and Vodafone to other networks, plus free calls amongst your employees, all in one mobile package. There is too much value you get on the best mobile plan in Ghana today. To sign up, SMS start to 050-777-9000 or email vodafonebusiness.gh@vodafone.com.
Vodafone, further together. Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Many thanks for staying with us here on the Citi Prime News. I am Larte here this afternoon with Safo. In more news this hour, the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat says it is engaging the Customs Excise and Preventive Service on the possibility of airlifting a cash amount of $200,000 to pay the outstanding stipends to Ghanaian medical students in Cuba. This follows lamentations from Ghanaian medical students in Cuba who say life has become unbearable due to the non-payment of their stipends for more than 7 months. The registrar of the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat, Dr. Kingsley Ajiman, says the reason for the delay in paying the money.
Cuba has been going through some international issues for some time now. So, back to the practice, we sent money through Bank of Ghana, through the Cubans' intermediary banks, for it to be sent to the student, to the Ghana mission in Havana. The money was transferred, then the money came back or was returned to BOG. And the explanation was that the intermediary bank could not transmit because Cuba has been sanctioned on some of these transfers. So as I speak with you now, the money is still with the BOG. Cuban embassy here in Ghana met the ambassador to see if you can find some ways of transmitting the money to Cuba without it going through the intermediary banks, because embassies, by virtue of the diplomatic cables, be able to do some of these things.
Meanwhile, he hopes that the discussions with SERVs will be completed in 2 weeks.
So we go to customs next week. If we go and we're able to seal it, bingo, immediately, the next available flight, my staff, they are on standby and they'll go and deliver. So because the most dominant variable is not dependent on us, it will be very difficult for me to give out a timeline. However, Custom 2 is now up and doing now. So because it's the whole governance structure which has seen a lot of improvement, let's give ourselves maybe maximum 2 weeks. We should be able to nail this. But they are dependent variables. All things being equal. I'm stating on record.
Dr. Kingsley Ajiman is registrar of the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat.
Officials of the Electoral Commission and the National Identification Authority are expected to brief members of Parliament on the draft Public Elections Regulations 2023 and the status of the Ghana card registration today. This follows a directive by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, to the EC to engage stakeholders extensively ahead of the laying of the constitutional instrument that seeks to make the Ghana card the sole document for election 2024 voters registration. Members of Parliament, especially those on the minority side, have been asking questions about the Electoral Commission's ability to effectively apply the CI in light of challenges with the acquisition of the Ghana card. The EC and the NIA have, however, resolved to engage the House on the CI and the status of the ECOWAS identification card registration, also known as the Ghana card, today.
Well, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is advising the public to wear face masks to avoid inhaling high concentrations of dust particles in the air. It follows a recent report that placed Accra at the top spot of highly polluted cities in the world. There is more in the following report filed by Rachel Engman and read by Akosua Ochre.
Ghana has been experiencing variations in intensity of dry and dusty conditions over the past few days. This sudden change in climate has been perceived by some Ghanaians as very unusual, as the variation feels like harmattan. A report by the Air Quality Index ranking, however, ranks Accra, Ghana's capital, as the worst in regards to air quality in the world. Speaking to Citi News on the back of the recent change in the weather, a senior meteorologist at the Central Analysis and Forecast Office at the Ghana Meteorological Agency, Joshua Samoa, revealed that the harmattan conditions being experienced now are as a result of dust lifted around Chad, Sudan, and Niger into the country. He has, however, assured that the situation may improve by the end of February.
We are actually still in harmattan. For most parts of the country, harmattan lasts until late February into early March. So it's still harmattan. But then every season, there are some variations that happen. And we saw some of these variations around January, when we had some moist winds from the ocean coming into the country, helping in cloud formation and then some rainfall occasionally. So the idea was that people thought because we were seeing some rains in January, harmattan was over. But we sent out a release in January that we're still in harmattan, even though we are getting some few cases of rainfall, but it's still harmattan. And we should expect an intensification of the harmattan to come later. And just last week on Monday, we sent an out update that the week will see an intensification in the dry and dusty conditions coming into the country. The impact is actually higher for areas in the northern portions of Ghana, but for us in the southern parts too, we are also getting some of the effects. So it's still harmattan, but we are seeing an intensification of the conditions that are associated with harmattan around this time. On Monday, like I said earlier, we sent an outlook that we should expect an intensification of the dusty conditions into the country. And on Tuesday into Wednesday, we saw a lot of dust lifted in the dust source region, that's over the Sahel areas. So Sudan, Chad, Niger areas, we're all seeing dusty conditions lifted. These dusty conditions were propagated by low-level, strong winds into our country. So that's what brought the dusty conditions that we are seeing here. Already, there are fumes from the exhaust of cars, burning of bushes and all of those things. They introduce some pollutants into the air. So the introduction of the dust compounds this issue. And so the pollution of the air increases with the intrusion of the dust into the country. That is what we are experiencing at the moment.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Henry Kwabna Kokofu, has advised the public to adhere to strict safety measures, such as the wearing of face masks due to the suspension of minute dust particles and aerosols dominating the atmosphere.
The Air Quality Index recorded at the EPA's monitoring site, located at the University of Ghana between February 1st to 19th, 2023, was largely moderate, except for February 15 to 16, when it increased to unhealthy for sensitive groups, and then unhealthy to very unhealthy, and then to very unhealthy between February 17 and 19. High particulate levels may cause irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat, and vulnerable groups such as people with asthma, lung disease, older adults, children, and pregnant women are considered at greater risk. The Environmental Protection Agency wished to entreat the vulnerable groups to reduce outdoor activities where necessary, especially the elderly, children, pregnant women, etc. Additionally, the general public is advised to take all necessary precautionary measures, such as the use of pollution mask, nose mask, goggles for eye protection, or use air purifiers if available. Reduce outdoor activities, including physical exercise. Desist from open burning of waste and other materials. The public is hereby informed that the agency will continue to collaborate with relevant institutions, i.e. Ghana Health Service, Ghana Meteorological Agency, DVLA, and Ghana Standard Authority to monitor the situation for updates on our website and on the social media handles.
Some Ghanaians also shared their views with Citi News.
To me, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because wherever I do work with such an environment all day long, so I'm okay with it.
That report was filed by City News' Rachel Engman and read by Akusua Ochre. Now, I want to take you to the GS Resolution Center at the Nat Hall here in Accra, because days after the release of the 2023 SHS placement by the computerized school selection and placement system, the Free Senior High School Secretariat is still resolving challenges with the placement. City News' Kweku Edwamansa is there and joins us on the line. Well, Kweku, paint a picture for us, the situation at the Nat Hall today.
Great. So, Larte, the situation here is not as severe as we saw on the very first day or the very first week when the Resolution Center was created here at the Nat Hall in the Greater Accra region. Well, there are parents here, there are people who are hoping to get their challenges resolved here. But looking at the numbers, I think it has reduced. But then I will be engaging the deputy coordinator of the Free SHS program here. She has been monitoring the situation over the past period. But some of the challenges we know include those who haven't been placed in schools at all, some of them who want a change of their status, also some of them who want a change of the schools that they have been putting, and some of them for re-entry, and also gender issues and enrollment issues. And so these are some of the challenges here. But then I'll just interact with the deputy coordinator for the Free SHS program, Nana Fresh Government. She's here and she's been monitoring. I'm grateful for your time this afternoon. So we know the last week you started the resolution of these challenges here. How has it been so far, if you can run by us?
All right, so far everything has been smooth and successful. As you can see, the numbers have reduced drastically. That shows that we are really working. So we will take the issues to the center, and then the team out there, we've been going sleepless nights, making sure that we resolve all issues. Since we have a deadline, we are spending 6 weeks here, but reopening will begin on Monday. So parents are so earning that they want their work to go to school. So we wanted to make sure that we place them in the school before we can start school on Monday.
Well, for some of the individuals I have been speaking to, it looks like most of them have been placed in school, but they want a change in the school, or they think that they did well in their examination. How are you dealing with this?
All right, we will work it out for them, even though we may not get the choices that they want. But when they come here, we will tell them the available schools that we have, and then they will choose, and then we work it out for them to go to those schools.
But can you say for sure that all these people with the challenges would have them resolved even before school reopening? Because that's the major concern.
Yes, we will do that. Trust me, we'll work on it before school resumes.
Okay, I'm grateful for speaking to me there. So, Nila, you just had me interact with Nana Freshka Mensa. She is the deputy coordinator for the Free SHS program, and she has been monitoring the situation here. And as she indicated, clearly the numbers have reduced, and she's hopeful that by next week, when school reopens formally, all these people will have their concerns addressed, hopefully.
All right, so I'm grateful that City News' Kweku Edwamansa reporting from the GS Resolution Center at the Nat Hall here in Accra. From there, let's go to the family house of Ghanaian football star, the late Christian Achumo, and more people continue to express their deepest commiserations to the bereaved family at their Obojo residence here in Accra. City Sports Evans Ofuchu Manso is there, and he joins us via telephone. Well, Evans, which group of persons have visited the Trasams today?
Well, 4 groups of people have been here at the Trasam family at Obojo. It started with former Black Stars player Samuel Nkum and his entourage coming here early in the morning. Well, the House of Oak player signed a book of condolence and donated bottles of water to the family. And he further indicated that he is willing to support the family towards the burial of his former teammate at the national team level. The 2 players spent some good time together at the Black Stars. Follow suit was some representatives from his former school, that's T.I. Ahmadiyya. So we understand that he was a former student of the T.I. Ahmadiyya Senior High School. So his former classmates and also officials of the school were here at the family house also to commiserate with the family of the late footballer. Then it was time for the Turkish airline officials. Remember that 2 final club football was for had ties for in the Turkish Super League. So the Turkish airline officials felt there was a need to also come here and commiserate with the family of the former player. The National Democratic Congress was next year, and their National Youth Wing, led by the National Youth Organizer, that's lawyer George Opariado, he led a delegation from the NDC to visit the family house of Christian Achu, and they donated 2,000 Ghana cedis and 30 cartons of water, and they also pledged further support for the family, indicating that the NDC proper will come and also visit the family. So this is just what the youth wing of the NDC is trying to give to the family. At the right time, the NDC official hierarchy will also be here to also support the family with their funds and whatever they have for the family as well. So they are still here. At the moment, it's less busy. The family members are still in the house under the tent, just waiting for the next course of Ghanaians to come and pay their commiserations to the family. It's still open here. The book of condolence still open. So at the moment, some scores of Ghanaians are still passing through, but no big groups yet, as these 4 groups have been the ones to pass through since morning.
All right, Evans, you are grateful for that report. It's a clear indication that footballers, colleagues, friends, sympathizers, and to a larger extent, Ghanaians are still grieving the passing of Christian Achu after his lifeless body was retrieved from that rubble after the earthquake that hit Turkey. We pray for the peaceful repose of his soul. So you heard City News' Evans Ofochu Manso telling us about the group of persons who have visited the family house at Ogbojo in Accra to pay their last respect to the family following the passing of Christian Achu. Eno has more stories.
The UN resident coordinator in Ghana, Charles Abani, says the youth may fall prey to violent extremism if the government does not take steps to remedy the current economic woes. Speaking to City News on the sidelines of the launch of the European Union and United Nations Building Migration Partnerships project, Mr. Abani noted that the Russian-Ukraine war and COVID-19 have brought major economies on their knees and worsened the vulnerabilities of developing nations. He urged the government to ensure the provision of the basic commodities needed by citizens.
What would be my lessons for Ghana? Increase your self-reliance. But I think Ghana's already focused on an agenda of self-reliance. Reduce your imports. The new Minister of Trade and Industries who's just come in has also said that he sees the need to grow Ghana's own productive capacity. So growing the productive capacity of Ghana that makes it less vulnerable to shocks, makes it less vulnerable to price sensitivity because of a heavy reliance on US dollar transactions for imports. So building Ghana's robust economy has to be the key. We're in a point of crisis now. The government is trying to renegotiate both domestic and international debt in a way that gives Ghana fiscal space to make these investments. And I think what I would be saying to ordinary Ghanaians is to participate in that conversation in a way that looks for the strategic investments that need to happen. And if you like, being sure that as citizens of Ghana, citizens are holding their government to account on those commitments made through the budget and made through the various pronouncements around flagship programs. If those investments happen in the right places and government reduces wastage, duplication, etc., then I think Ghana is still in a good place to be able to recover much more quickly than some other countries on this continent.
You heard the UN resident coordinator in Ghana, Charles Abani.
And that's it for today's edition of Citi Prime News, which was live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka here in Accra. My name is Larte. I was here with
Safo.
For more news, visit our website, citynewsroom.com. Michael Ogbodu is next with the afternoon's edition of the City Business News. Have a good afternoon.